Some stories just don't have an answer. They're not neat little puzzles you can solve. They're more like logic problems where every single piece is sharp and none of them fit together. This is one of those stories, and it all starts on a cold, dark road. So, let's set the scene. It's a cold winter night in Northern California. We've got five best friends, a group their families just called the boys. They're driving home from a basketball game, they stop for some snacks and drinks, and then they just vanish. Gone. A few days later, their car, a 1969 Mercury Montego, turns up. But it's not where it should be, not even close. It's way up on a remote mountain road, miles from any logical route home. And get this, the key's in the ignition. It's got plenty of gas, it starts right up. On the seat, the snacks they just bought, half-eaten. The car was just left. No signs of a struggle, no footprints in the snow around it. It's just sitting there, stuck in a snowbank, unlocked, with a window rolled down, as if five grown men just decided to step out into the middle of a blizzard and take a walk. But why? That right there is the question. It's the one that has haunted everyone involved for over 40 years. This is a case that is absolutely full of clues, but not a single one of them makes any sense. All right, so let's start with the car. Because right from the jump, the story doesn't add up. This isn't just a piece of evidence. It's the first major paradox. Okay, just try to picture this scene. They are 70 miles off course. They're on this winding, treacherous mountain road that even a tough 4x4 would have trouble with. And yet the car, not a scratch on it, no mud, nothing. It's almost as if it was just dropped there. And it worked perfectly fine. So the question is, why on earth would five men abandon a working car in a blizzard? Well, the families, they immediately suspected something sinister. Foul play. Jack Madruga, he was the driver, and he absolutely loved that car. He never would have just left it. His mother, Mabel, said something that really captures what everyone was thinking. This wasn't a choice. Someone or something made them go up that mountain. But what could possibly overpower five men? To even begin to understand this, you really have to understand who these men were. See, this wasn't some group of expert survivalists. They were a really close-knit group of friends who were deeply connected to each other and to their families. Now, four of the five men were living with mild intellectual disabilities. The fifth, Gary Mathias, was an Army vet, being treated for schizophrenia. But more than anything, they were this inseparable group of buddies. They had jobs, they played on a basketball team together, they were a unit. And here's what makes it all so baffling. Their families were very clear about one thing. These guys were terrified of the dark, and they hated the idea of getting lost. So why would they go deep into a forest, at night, in a snowstorm? The first search for them didn't last long. The snow was just too heavy, burying everything. The crews had to pull back and wait for months. The forest, well, it kept its secrets. It wasn't until the spring thaw that the next, and honestly, the most disturbing piece of this whole puzzle finally emerged, almost 20 miles from where they left the car. Way up in the mountains, there was a Forest Service trailer. This trailer should have been their salvation. It should have been a happy ending to a scary story. Instead, it became the setting for a scene that seems to defy every single human instinct for survival. Just walk through this with me. They walk nearly 20 miles through a blizzard. They find a trailer. Inside, there's everything they need: furniture, matches, books for kindling, a propane tank for heat. Outside, in a shed, there's literally a year's supply of food. They even opened some of the cans, but they barely ate any of it. How is it possible to starve to death in a room full of food? Inside that trailer, on a bed, police find the body of Ted Waher. But it's the way they found him that adds this whole other layer of impossibility to the case. He was covered by 8 bed sheets, each one pulled tight over the other. So, inside, they find Ted Waher. He'd starved, his 6-foot frame down to just 100 pounds, but he's wrapped in those 8 sheets, almost like a shroud. Investigators believed there was no way he could have done that to himself. Someone else had to be there. Also in the trailer, Gary Mathias's shoes. But Mathias himself was gone, vanished. His remains have never been found. The other 3 men, they were found later, scattered in the woods between the car and that trailer. Now, it's easy to write this off as a one-of-a-kind freak tragedy. You know, a perfect storm of bad luck and confusion. But what if it isn't? What if this bizarre pattern of behavior has an echo somewhere else? let's jump to a different case that feels, well, it feels hauntingly familiar. 12 years before Yuba County and thousands of miles away in Brazil, another mystery unfolds that mirrors this one in some really chilling ways. It also involves a small group of men, a series of illogical choices, and a final scene that left investigators completely stumped. So picture this. On a remote hill, two electronics technicians are found lying dead, side by side. They're dressed in perfect, immaculate suits and raincoats. And over their eyes, they're wearing these strange homemade lead masks. There were no signs of a struggle, no clear cause of death. What in the world happened here? A notebook found nearby had this cryptic message inside. It reads like a set of instructions. Ingest capsules, protect metals, which probably meant the lead masks, and then await signal. Just like the Yuba County Five, it really seems like they were following some kind of plan, an objective that was totally invisible to the rest of the world. The lead masks mystery feels like it's impossible to crack, but what's truly infuriating is that the authorities, they might have had the answer right in their hands, and they just let it slip away. And this right here is a perfect example of why some mysteries stay that way. The local coroner's office was swamped. They were too busy. By the time they actually got around to examining the bodies, the organs were too far gone for a toxicology report. Whatever was in those capsules, the one clue that could have explained everything, was lost forever, all because of simple neglect. Which brings us all the way back to that snowy forest in California. With absolutely no forensic evidence pointing to foul play and no logical reason for their actions, we're really just left with ghosts. I mean, you can try to apply any theory you want to the Yuba County case, but they all fall apart. If someone chased them up the mountain, why would that person let them find shelter and then just wait for them to starve? If Gary Mathias had some kind of psychotic break, then where is he? None of it works. Every question you ask just leads to 5 more. Look, we all want a simple answer. A clear villain, a single mistake we can point to, but maybe the truth is something far more unsettling. In both of these cases, we see that under certain kinds of pressure, whether it's from a shared belief or a mental health crisis, the most logical path to survival can become completely invisible. The mind itself can become a trap. And in the end, that's the question we're left with. The case of the Yuba County Five isn't just a story about 5 men who got lost. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the most dangerous wilderness isn't the one around us, but the one inside our own heads. What do you think really happened that night?